Welcome to The Things I Wish I Knew, the official YouTube channel and podcast. What are the things you wish you knew? Let's learn together, one life lesson at a time. Today's life lesson is love blind? So I'm watching Love is Blind. For those of you who are not familiar, it's a dating series on Netflix. The premise is that hopeful singles who are looking for love, more importantly marriage, go through a series of blind dates. Each person is in a dating pod, therefore they cannot see the person they are speaking to who is sitting across from them in another pod. Their dates take place in the pod, therefore communication is very key during these dates. The goal is to connect at an emotional level. In other words, they don't know what their date looks like. Therefore, any preconceived notions, assumptions based off of appearance are not at play. It's about seeing beyond what you think. Instead, it's about how you feel. In the end, it's how someone makes you feel rather than all the other things we often worry about. When it comes to dating, love, and marriage, while I'm watching this, I'm thinking about the dynamics in relationships, and I think that it's interesting for us to see both sides of the spectrum, men in relation to women and women in relation to men. One of the things I have to say that I noticed about the show is that we need to soften when it comes to love. We need to put down our armor and allow love to come in. Love is not fearful, it's not a fight, it's not a battle, and it's definitely not a war. I think while we all fight and struggle to live our best lives and have full autonomy over our existence as human beings and our right to have a good life and make choices for ourselves that are healthy and positive, I think sometimes we bring this battle into our relationships. I think that we treat our relationships like it's the boardroom. The bedroom is treated like the city streets where we feel like we have to watch our backs. If you're in a relationship and you feel like you have to watch your back, it will become a struggle. I think that you self-sabotage yourself when you allow yourself to enter a relationship with the idea of war. I think that we need to take shows like this as a great example, a mirror image for us to see ourselves, this reflection of how we may act in relationships and how this prevents us from finding love. In addition, what we accept in relationships and why we accept less than what we deserve, or I should say, finding the love we need. A lot of people are in unhealthy relationships or have attached themselves to unhealthy love. It's important to know the difference. Do you thrive or are you diminished? Is your light brighter or is it dim? I want to talk about a few things in this podcast. The first thing will be the importance of being soft and gentle and vulnerable in love. The second thing will be our perception of self and our perception of the ideal mate. And the last thing I want to talk about is dating culture and the consumption of alcohol and how this, in my opinion, can be detrimental to relationships in terms of getting to know someone, because I feel that alcohol sometimes creates a filter and a lot of times it doesn't allow us to present our best selves. And so this is something I think that we need to recognize in terms of how it sabotages our own lives and also our relationships. So on this podcast, Is Love Blind? I will give you my insight on a few things that I feel that you can learn from this series, and I'm sure there are things that you can share with me that you have learned from this series. The first lesson is, love is not a battlefield. We are all ready to battle when it comes to love. We prepare ourselves for the fight, not for the work required to make love happen or to survive, but the fight to prevent love from leaving. We fight to keep people from leaving. We deplete ourselves emotionally and do things that are unloving to ourselves and to them because we are fooled by the belief that love is an arduous war, a battlefield. We project the idea that this person may not love us for who we are, and so we fight them. It's an internal battle with self. But what we do in turn, we push them away. So ask yourself, in what ways are you pushing love away? Are you in a battle with love? Are you fighting that good fight you believe with yourself due to your lack of self-love? Are you transferring that energy onto the person that you desire, not only to love, but to love you back? Are you exhausted? This will leave you drained. Love should enliven you, uplift you. Are you creating a toxic environment in your happy home because you believe that love, not for this person, but for yourself, must be fought for? Are you loving yourself lately? Ask yourself this. Are you giving the good fight within yourself a moment of pause and rest? You need to surrender to the internal fight first. Therefore, you don't go into relationships or on a quest for love in a constant battle. So this is why I think we need to start here, recognizing that there's a softness when it comes to love. There's vulnerability. It's pure, it's gentle, it's kind. It's like a beautiful, fresh, clean glass of water from a spring that's never been touched. It's like taking that first sip. It's refreshing. It's a breath of fresh air. I look at relationships now and I think it's as if we are adding oil to that beautiful glass of water. And you wonder why the two don't go together. And so I think we can all learn from this and look at ourselves in love and relationships before we even judge anyone who is on the show from what we have seen. We have to say to ourselves, wait a second, what am I like when it comes to love and relationships? Maybe I don't like him or her because I recognize this behavior in myself. Or perhaps I've been on the receiving end of this behavior. So not only can I look at it and understand the person, if anything, I can understand myself better and realize that the problem is my fight for the desire to be loved. The problem starts with the fight and this invisible fight that keeps on happening. It's happening in your head even when no one else is around. And your desire to fight for the idea of how you want someone to love you, this leads to constant conflict, internal conflict. So I hope you can learn one thing, is that don't sabotage yourself or sabotage your life if you believe that you are worthy of love. As you know, I think you should continuously work on yourself and cultivate self-love. So when someone great comes along, you will allow them to love you. I think you need to put down your sword and you need to stop fighting. Piercing someone's heart in battle does not lead to love. In fact, it leads to hurt feelings. It leads to two wounded souls in a relationship together trying to fix the pieces that didn't need to be fixed in the first place. The problem is we are all trying to fix someone. We forget that it's important for us to fix ourselves first. We enter relationships hoping someone will pick up the pieces. It disappoints us when they fail to make us feel better. We resent them when we realize they cannot heal what's been broken, no matter how hard they try. When you do the self-work, when you unpack the years of heartbreak and disappointment in love on your own, you can do this with a therapist or a relationship expert. When you consciously take the time to work on you and realize you alone create your reality, that you may not choose who you love, but that you pick who you love, it's a choice. The fight becomes frivolous. You won't allow another being to share space with you, a life with you that doesn't add to love that you are giving yourself, the love that lives within you. Love isn't painful. Love definitely shouldn't be a battlefield. The second lesson, perception of self, how we see ourselves and how we see or what we desire in an ideal mate. If you watched a lot of fairy tales growing up, like most little girls, our ideal mate was a prince. Not only is he charming, he is good looking, funny fit, romantic, a gentleman, successful, and can pretty much walk on water, right? You grew up and realized very quickly, or maybe it was when little Tommy threw sand in your eyes in the sandbox, that there may be a lot of princes out there, but they might not be charming, fit, romantic, or funny. Even if your prince does exist, it might take dating quite a few not so princely men in your mind before you find him. I think social media has heightened our sense of what we see, or I should say, what we find desirable. To clarify that point, it's what we should desire. I'm sure you can agree that social media has influenced the way people see each other and also what we should find desirable in an ideal mate. Keep in mind that sometimes what we want doesn't want us. This is a true story that fantasy guy may not be our reality, and as harsh as it sounds, he may not want you. He may have a different vision in his mind of what he wants, what he desires, and you're not it. I have seen friends pass up on great men who don't have six-pack abs, for example, good men, because they're so focused on what they see, they miss out on something real. I'm not saying you shouldn't be with someone you are attracted to. From watching the show, you see how a block in what you think you should be with, or who you think you should be with, this creates a blockage. This might be the reason why you are single. Obviously, if there are no feelings there, don't force it. I think it's important to pay attention to this. Are you focused on little details that don't matter? Have you created this ideal person in your mind that doesn't exist? And if they do exist, are you the right fit for them? Are you stuck on the idea of what your significant other should look like, more so than the type of person they are and how they treat you? This woman once told me, marry the man, not the looks. Looks fade. Make sure you are with a good person. Of course, it's possible to be with someone that you are attracted to that also happens to treat you very well. But I think before you focus on looks, always look at the character of the person. I know you're thinking, well, I would like to be with someone that I'm attracted to. And of course, this isn't a bad thing. But I'm sure you can think of a time when you dated someone or a few people who looked great on the outside, but they weren't so kind to you. The other thing I would like to add is that, are you pursuing people who would see you as their ideal mate? The last lesson is, a little too many drinks makes you think you're in love. A glass of wine can give you love eyes. This is something I say to my friends all the time. A few glasses of wine and you think you're in love. As we all know, well, if you don't know, you should know, alcohol changes our perception of things. It places a filter in front of you, in front of reality, sort of like Instagram. It lets you see, hear, and feel what you want to feel in that moment. Have you ever started a date thinking, well, I'm not feeling anything, I'm not sure. Then a few glasses later, you're in love. I think it's good to limit the amount of alcohol consumed on first dates. It's great if you don't drink at all, in fact. Sober dating should be a thing for everyone. I'm not saying I'm against wine or alcohol consumed responsibly. I think it's actually an important lesson for some couples because there are couples who are in a third-party relationship with a bottle of wine, meaning that they can't be around each other without it. This is the foundation of their relationship. It's what keeps them bonded. When we are in an altered state, when wine gives us love eyes, we miss important details. We ignore the things we shouldn't. The couple that parties together maybe shouldn't be together. The other thing that alcohol does is that it doesn't allow you to present your best self or be in the moment. Some people use alcohol as a shield. It's easy to say, well, it was the wine talking, not you, isn't it? It's easy to use it as a wall that you put between you and your lover. You should feel just as comfortable with someone drinking a cup of tea as you would drinking a glass of wine. I think it's great to suggest different date ideas, even if it's something as simple as going for a cup of coffee or trying a new activity so you can create a real connection. You may also notice that a few glasses of wine or a shot of tequila creates a lot of confusion, what you think you heard or felt versus reality. When the fun is over and the real stuff happens, it can be quite sobering. What do you think? Do you think love is blind? Thank you for listening to The Things I Wish I Knew. Peace and love. Thank you for listening to the Things I Wish I Knew podcast. If you like this podcast, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe for your weekly life lessons. If you'd like to read more life lessons or more on this life lesson today, please go to thethingsiwishiknew.com.